Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more
There's
times.
5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
This is Kugan CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's KSI Fight Week. It's also Kalle Sauerland Fight Week here, live on the Zone. All right, mate?
Kalle Sauerland Fight Week. Well, first of all, I'm trying to keep a serious face. I've decided that I'm not going to let you do me on the thumbnails anymore. Right? We've done years of this, so I'm going to try and keep my look today so serious. I'm watching the jaw. No jaw gnawing or whatever you want to call it. When I get my dry mouth and get a bit nervous when I talk to you. So I'm in my zone today.
Can I just point out that before you even mention this, I already got about 7 thumbnails in the bank already.
You probably have. You're very cheeky. I can't wait. One day I'm going to turn it around and get a thumbnail on you that's going to go so viral. Boah. Just can't wait for that. It's going to be my moment of sweetness.
Right, okay, before we...
You never do any on the thumbnails. Yeah. You never do...
He does, he gets done on the thumbnails as well.
But no way near as bad as my one.
You just give me 2 there.
It's just like natural talent, you know?
Don't worry. Just a quick note on your interview yesterday with Umar.
Calm down.
You've calmed down, but you felt passionately about the situation and you aired it, simple as that.
Yeah, you know what? By the time I did Umar's piece was right at the end of having about 20 people asking the same question, which is, I guess, the question to ask this week. And I think I just snapped. I don't know. I like people know, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think that Tyson does that fantastically, Fury. And I think that if I made a criticism of AJ, is that he's been sort of the GQ, you know, you buy a Lucozade bottle, you see AJ on it, and he's that sort of, that marketable type, and you know, worked a lot with those sorts in the past as well, Klitschko brothers and other boxers who have that very, you know, that very professional take on it. And I thought it was, I don't want to say fantastic to see him lose his plot, but I thought it showed what it meant to him. You know, he just made a lot of money. Everyone knows that. Yeah? Even boxing, you know, it wasn't win or lose, he gets the money or he doesn't get the money. You know, he just earned a substantial amount of money. And you could just see he was showing the spite, the anger. And I've seen it in locker rooms for many years, most of my life. Even before I was a promoter, I would hang around the locker rooms and just see the reactions of fighters on undercards, main events, big fights, small fights. I've seen people smash up dressing rooms, big names smash up dressing rooms. I've seen them throw over the fridges. And he did it in the ring on the biggest platform of all, heavyweight championship of the world. So I felt for him, but at the same time, I think he's going to have a lot of new fans who saw that side to him of what it meant. That's what I was saying. I know I used a lot of effing and blinding, and I made sure that my baby daughter didn't watch IFL today. She's only 22 months. You know, she's already into her IFL. Big Kugan fan. But no, joking aside, I thought it was a reaction, a man's reaction. You know, it is what it is. And I've seen, by the way, female fighters lose it in the dressing rooms as well. You know, it happens. It happens, and it's the highest level, and it just shows how much it means to him. And I thought that was, you know, I'm known for being the Team Fury man, the fan of Tyson, but I thought that, you know, I thought AJ showed real character in what he said and what he'd done. You know, and you know he'll come again. He improved. You know, I still stick by what I said before. He could have had a fight in between. he'll see that after his career, though. And good on him for giving it the best shot. And he'll be back, and I'm sure keep on learning. And maybe one day we see the third one.
Okay, let's move on to this week. KSI fighting 2 opponents in the same night. It's a pretty bold move. One's obviously the replacement for Alex Wasabi in Schwarms. There's been a nice bit of beef there, kind of going over the last few weeks, and then has a Mexican professional boxer. Yeah, I mean, were you a fan of this idea of him fighting 2 fights in the same night? It was addressed that we could kind of see, like, from Prize Fighter and, the boxer series, that fighters, it's not unnormal for them to kind of have 2 or 3 fights in that kind of format. But for this, it being KSI, what do you think about that?
I think there's one thing that we miss here is the fact he's been out for 1,015 days in a fight. His last fight was beating Logan Paul 1,015 days ago in the Staples Center in Los Angeles. To return, he's training like a pro. He's touring with his team, sparring partners, you name it. He's taking them with. He's training day in, day out. He's at a really long camp, and he's fighting a rapper from southeast London. Seems like a bit of a bad boy, but ain't had a boxing fight in his life. But we don't know what he brings. You don't know. I asked Swarms today, explain us your style. Let us, but is he going to come at him? So it's very difficult to prepare for that. And I've seen boxers, seasoned pros, fight, boxers who there's not much material on, not much to go on because they maybe come across from kickboxing, for example. And those are the toughest fights to deal with at that stage. And he's a novice boxer. So he's got to deal with that. If he gets through that, which I expect him to, he then boxes a Mexican. 2-5 Mexican. Say, okay, nothing special. Well, nothing special. KSI was at the beginning of his boxing career. My rule normally is, said up there today, no Irish, no Mexicans in your first 5 fights because they are the toughest. Those are the ones you don't want to fight. They always have lopsided records. You get no credit for it because they've got a negative record, but a Mexican with a negative record don't mean shit, right? And, that's his reward for beating a guy that he can't really prepare for. It's a lot bigger than him as well. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I didn't advise on it because it's his world. It's his segment. If I did this as a pro, people would be shooting me down left, right and centre. But this was KSI's call. It's a big cake. It's a big cake to eat on Saturday night. But he's a performer. He knows it's a sold out O2. It's the zone pay-per-view, but at the same time, he loves challenges, doesn't he? And I analysed people, and if I look at what he does in other walks of life, it's phenomenal, and he raises that bar very, very high, yeah? And certainly makes for excitement on Saturday.
I think it was a Talk Sport interview I saw KSI talking about the possibility that he would like to face Conor McGregor in the future. Is he serious about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Conor as a boxer. He's a UFC fighter who's known as a striker. I'm not that good at UFC, but they call them strikers. Rest grapplers and strikers. He's known as a striker. But let's face it. I mean, it didn't exactly look like Muhammad Ali against Floyd Mayweather. I'm not drawing comparisons now to KSI and Floyd Mayweather, but it's one of those fights. For me, he's a crossover boxer as well. He's certainly not a boxer, But I think he's fighting Carl Froch now, isn't he? It's a mad world, isn't it? It really is a mad world, and let's get through Saturday. I've seen all the talk about Jake Paul. One thing that is hysterical, and you've asked me about like Myris Freedy tattooing Jake Paul. it's every week, isn't it? There's a fighter called out Jake Paul. They're thinking easy payday, you know. But that's not, you know, Jake Paul would have done one of them fights if he meant it, and he hasn't, which is good, by the way. But from Jake Paul's point of view, it seems that he has got someone advising him on what fights to take. You know, they just seem to fall through, all of them. But then you cross over from, let's say, classic boxing to the crossover boxing world, and suddenly you've got Jake Paul, the most wanted man in classic boxing. Crossover to crossover boxing, and Jake Paul is calling out KSI. I'm like, wow, tables are turned over here, eh? So I'm thinking like, Myris going off and getting a tattoo on his leg of Jake Paul, this fighter doing that, this fighter doing that to try and get the fight, and going to crossover boxing world, and the number one, of course, is KSI, and Jake Paul knows it, and that's why he's calling him out. And that fight is huge, you know, he's absolutely huge fight. Numbers wise, and I can't wait to read the comments on this, but numbers wise, it's bigger than any boxing fight, bigger than any classic boxing fight, and you can name them. And we all
AJ Fury.
Yep. Keep on going. No. Numbers wise, it's zeniths above it. Zeniths.
What about Mayweather McGregor? That did huge numbers.
Yeah, it did, but let's not forget that was that 5 years ago now. So both of them. But as I just said, McGregor wasn't a boxer, but he was in that fight world. Yeah. So, and Mayweather obviously one of the greatest of all time, but social media and the online segment with the guys we saw up here today has also developed. It will do bigger numbers than Mayweather Pacquiao. It will do bigger numbers. It's so big because the fan bases are so spread. And that fight, I also believe, will attract the normal boxing crowd, just because we've had, you know, the names rammed down our throats for quite a few years now. Yeah, so it is the fight to go out and make.
Okay. Before I do let you go, no, of course not. I tend to agree. Listen,
you've done your billion views now. Right, you're probably getting towards 1 trillion views. I don't know how to work out.
Steady on, but yeah, go on.
But you've done your billion views, right? Once again, we'll go back in history. First time you and me interviewed was the second Kessler-Froch fight. Look where you've come. You have a team. You have a proper company behind you. At the time, you were an influencer, really. Yeah, sort of. You were the first in that segment in boxing. So. But look at the way it's come now. I mean, I've just done an hour walking up and down with cameras. I don't even know what they are. Yeah? It's developed very quickly. But that's it still in our old school boxing world, isn't it? You know? Now think this world, it's like that on speed. You know, that's the scariness. I mean, but last week, change of opponent, right, what would you normally do? You know, call up the media and say, oh, we're changing the opponent, whatever. He puts out a clip. In 1 hour, he had 2.5 million views, yeah, on his own YouTube channel. Who needs broadcasters? It's just another levels. It really is. And you can compare the stats to if Joshua puts something out, if Fury puts something out. That's where we want to get to with boxing, by the way. That's why I'm delighted to be involved in this part of it, because I think we get those fresh young eyeballs that the kids would not be going off to watching UFC probably before they get into boxing. It's like you hit 40, now I watch boxing. Right? Let's make it younger.
Just finally, can you just explain the idea and the concept behind Misfits Boxing and how involved you are with this new series that is launching on the Zone this week?
Well, it's a joint venture with KSI and his manager, Mams Taylor. So yeah, we're all on board. You know, it's not like this is a one show. We're going to announce at the weekend, live on air, we will be announcing our second event, which is in October. Our third event is in November. Second event will be also in the UK. Third event will be in the States. Fourth event will be in January. That's rolling, and very excited to have DAZN as a partner. Fantastic team there. You know, they're really into this. Joe Markowski, the team, they've been all over this influencer stuff for a long time. They don't also forget they backed the KSI Logan Paul fight. They've done other bits and pieces as well. But this is a longer term deal, and it's one which enables us to occupy that space and dominate that space. You know, that's for us was key when we looked at the different partners. You can imagine there was a hell of a lot of choice, but DAZN ticked the boxes.
Okay, well, it's only Thursday, so I'm sure there's a couple more days of Kalle Sauerland coming up.
By the way, did you see those face-to-faces? Not the main event one, which was...
What did you get right involved in? Was it Dean the Great in Evil Hero?
They got right involved with me. I thought we were going to... I mean, they were lucky they were the smaller guys to get my karate out there. Hold on. Evil Hero and Dean the Great. Yeah. I can tell you I can write a book on what's going on around this show. I tell you something. But that face-off was one of the hairier ones I've had in recent times, and that includes you back, Ben.
Okay, Kalle, appreciate your time as always, and we'll catch up again before the weekend. But yeah, live on DAZN pay-per-view this Saturday. Heard it's sold out completely at the O2.
We're sold out, off sale now. But what we're working on is there'll probably be 300-400 ticket holds coming back, which will hopefully get cleared in the next hour or so, and they'll be gone, I'm sure, very quickly. It's incredible the way this event is sold, really incredible.
Thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you at some point over the next 2 or 3 days.
Absolutely. Public weigh-in tomorrow at the magazine by the O2, right next to the O2. So that's going to be exciting.
Thank you very much.
I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more
There's 5
times.
blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.